Welcome to Tai Chi. Everybody ready? Let's warm up. Hands at your waist, turn your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stretch your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Expand your chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Waist exercise. 1, 2, turn at the hips and waist to peek at the heel of your opposite foot. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Airplane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, bend at the hips and waist, 9, 10. Touch toe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. On that one now, if you're feeling that you're not as flexible as you would like, something that can help you is to use your knees, to loosen up your knees, your ankle joints, and then turn, and you find that you're a little bit more swivelly, yeah? So although it's called a hip waist and hip motion. Turn your hips. You can use the other things about you, but it's just that the focus is stronger on the hips and waist. Kick your foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kick your butt. 1, 2, 3. Shift your weight. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Heisman, open neck span, parallel feet. Choose the right side. Cross and sit on that side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shift weight, other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Short one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, still warming up, getting into our posture and our alignment. Good Tai Chi posture. First, dropping our shoulders, suspending our head, chin slightly down, chest concaved, tucking our butt, and relaxed knees. Good thoughts, tongue on our palate. Hands at our waist for now. T-stance. Weight on the right, weightless on the left. T-stance. We're going to get into an L stance, which is out and to the side on our heel. Move the energy from our back foot all the way up through our body, across and down, bow stance. Sit back and sit down. Twist step. Root down on the left to create a T, and insubstantial on the right. Step out and to the side, L. Move the energy, turn the hips and waist. Bow stance, bow and arrow. Knee not beyond the toe. Sit back and sit down. Twist step. Root down. T stance. Step out on the L. Turn the hips and waist. Bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Root down. T stance. Step out into the side, L. Turn the hips and waist. Bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. T stance, okay? Holding our ball on a T stance. Left hand on the bottom, left foot is insubstantial, so you know that left and left match. Right hand on the top, chest level. Bring the ball closer to you. Bring the ball further in rather than out, okay? Here we go. Weight or energy on the right or back foot. T stance. Step out on an L. Bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back. Sit down. Twist step. Center with a ball on a T. Step out on an L. Bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. T stance. Holding your ball. Step out on an L. Bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. T stance. L stance. Bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. T stance, okay? My turn to watch now, okay? You're on a T stance, okay? T stance. Step out into the side. Turn the hips and waist. Go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Hold your ball for better balance. Step out into the side. Up the horse's mane. Bow stance. Sit back, sit down. One more set. Twist step. T stance. L stance. Bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Other side. Twist step. T stance. L stance. Bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Hold your ball on a T stance. Okay, good. So it looks like everybody's been doing some work and practicing, and it looks good. Okay, I want to caution you that when we set up for good Tai Chi posture, what happens to our shoulders? They're relaxed, right? So relax them right now. So although we hold our ball and we part the wild horse's mane, that shoulder still remains down and relaxed. So how shall I do it? Okay, I'll do a good one for you, okay, and then I'll show you a bad one. So remember now, when I saw that your minds are really active, whenever your ball was not held correctly, you figured it out. So that's really good. I mean, we can make mistakes. Why not? Because that's how we learn. If this is a T stance, this is a good one, and I can't stand straight like this because my knee is locked there, my joint is locked, and I have pretty much equally weighted feet. So I'm gonna have to sink down because I'm gonna have to store the energy. The premise says you can only move if there's a weightless foot. So left hand is on the bottom because the bottom hand always advances. Even if it went to a white crane, the bottom hand advances. So in this case, when we part the wild horse's mane, we have our left insubstantial that's ready to go. We have our left hand on the bottom. T stance, storing my energy. If I can't store my energy, I cannot dispense my energy. T stance, step out into the side. Bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Knee not beyond the toe. Knee is straight but not locked in on the back. My shoulders are dropped. If you came here to me, you could see that they're not raised like this, or you can envision that or view that. It's still in the drop position. It's giving me a sense of stability and relaxation because I'm connected to the ground. Once I'm like this, I don't have that gravity helping me. I'm not as secure. Sit back and sit down. Your sitting down is getting better. So right now, maybe your sitting back is like this. But eventually, what I would like you to do is ground down a little bit more so you can actually feel that you're coming down. Not that you can't feel it now, but in degradations, I guess. Twist step. T stance. At the same time you're forming the T, you're forming your ball. You're stepping out on an L. Bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. And then you saw that the hips play a good part. So let me just show you. Maybe you can see it from the back there. This is my T, this is my L. I slightly lower myself to get that energy and momentum to come out. And when I finish at that point where I'm at the middle of my body, the hips finish and turn towards that, set it up in a good alignment. So in other words, to make a point, okay, this is a clean one, okay? The hips are aligned to the outward foot and the hand is also aligned. This is incorrect, okay? So if you come out here, maybe you step down and you do this, and then you do this. Those were all segments. They were not done as a whole, as a unit. So to do it as a unit, you know that the force is coming through your mind, and the mind is then moving the energy, your internal energy, to make that final movement. So if you think about it that way, the hands and the feet will just eventually get there because the hips and waists are turning to make that final motion. Okay, let's just try that instead of just try to understand it and watch. Okay, so we're in a T stance, left hand on the bottom, and then ask yourself, although my hands are in this position holding a ball, are my shoulders dropped? So to do another experiment, let's raise our shoulders. We found that our shoulders are raised and our knees are locked on the right. Therefore, we say this is not Tai Chi. So what do we have to do? Root down and ground down on the right or the back foot. Our shoulders came down. We're heavier on that right foot, which is correct. That's the sensation you want. You want it to be more secure, heavier, so that we're connected. We have all that safety valve there. All right, T stance. Come out into the side L. Turn the hips and waists. Part the wild horse's mane. And then ask yourself, are your shoulders now still dropped, or can you drop them because somehow in the motion maybe you have raised them? Okay, good, good. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Root down on the left, hold your ball and form your T. Step out on an L. Move the energy from the back all the way across, right to the middle. Shoulders dropped, right? Sit back, sit down. So twist step, T stance. One more time. If you have good Tai Chi posture, you shouldn't have to play around with your shoulders. But as a test, I always say, is your shoulder dropped? But it should never have been changed, okay? T stance, L stance, turn the hips and waists, O stance. Sit back, sit down. Twist step, T stance, L stance, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, hold your ball. And when you hold your ball, can you ask yourself, are you still in good Tai Chi posture where the shoulders are dropped? And are you weighted? Do you feel heaviness on your right foot? That's the sensation you want. Okay, so then you want to practice that, okay? Because I know that from the first day I saw you, this is the 4th week, and I do see improvement, and something's clicking, okay? So we're not looking for a 5% beginning and then a 80-something% accomplishment in a short period of time, but we're looking at just gradual progression, just whatever you can give. That's the stuff that will grow on you and will help you improve. And at the same time, giving you that relaxation and maybe and lessen that pressure that's on you to do something exactly the correct way. Because even for me, that whatever 20% that I have to still improve on still grows on me, but that's fine. All right. So now we're going to work on the difference between parting the wild horse's mane and warding off, okay? So when we ward off or when we grasp the bird's tail, we are actually moving out our opponent, making that safety net right there so he can't come in. So we're going to use our forearm to push him out. Push him out. Then we're going to turn our hips and waists and we're going to grasp the bird's tail as if we're going to drag him down. But when we drag him down, we don't just drag him down with our hands, but we do use our hips and waists to turn, to pull him back, and weight is heavily on that back foot. That's the energy. Then we contact him at the front and we push him out again, okay? So let's see how we can do that. And we don't necessarily have to show with our demeanor that we are going to be forceful, but we do it through our internal mind and energy, okay? So T stance, left hand on the bottom, so it's similar to parting of the wild horse's mane. We're going to do grasping of the bird's tail, which includes 2 sub-movements. The first one is to ward off. Step out on an L, bottom hand advances to ward off your opponent. Give me that space that I need. Turn the hips and waist, reposition the hands so they're staggered palm to palm. You're going to use your energy to bring your opponent down. How? Sit back, sit down, turn at the hips and waist. Turn at the hips and waist. Contact from the center of the body, push the energy through. Separate the hands and roll back and sit down to gather more energy. Come up, lunge forward. Other side. Sit back, sit down, twist step, root down, T stance, hold your ball. Energy down on the left, step out on an L, bottom hand or right hand, forearms your opponent. Give me my space. Turn your hips and waist, reposition your hands. Sit down, sit back, look back, turn at the hips and waist. Turn at the hips and waist. Contact, push from the center. Separate the energy. Roll back, sit down. Need that energy, then you need to come up, and then you need to come forward and out. And this is a drill, twist step, T stance, holding your ball. What are we gonna do? Forearm our opponent. Step out on an L, bottom hand advances to forearm him. Turn the hips and waist, reposition, sit down, sit back, look back. Turn at the hips and waist, contact, middle of the body, push the energy through, separate, roll back, sit down, spiral up, lunge forward. Other side, sit back, sit down, twist step, holding your ball, T stance, shoulders down, step out on an L, bottom hand advances, forearm him. Turn the hips and waist, reposition the hands. Sit down, sit back. Turn at the hips and waist to look back. Turn at the hips and waist, then contact, then push from the center. Separate, roll back, sit down. Spiral up, lunge forward. Sit down, sit back, twist step, hold your ball. Okay, let me see if I can do a little exercise here. Okay, so we're gonna take it apart. We're gonna learn how to sit down, sit back and sit down. Okay, let me just do it one time first, okay? T stance, L stance, bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Okay, so all we're gonna do is come into a T stance and sit back, and then we're gonna sit down. So this is like a drill, okay? Now, if you feel, sit back, sit down. Do you see that's one motion? I don't just sit back and then I just don't pause there and I sit down. But what I do is I sit back and roll back down in one motion so it's smooth. Okay? So this is what I want to do. It's going to build up your leg strength. It's going to it's going to give you a feeling that you're really well grounded. And if I could use my hand, this is what I do. I come out this way, I roll back, I sit down. Do you see this motion? Come out, roll back, come down. It's the same thing that you're doing with our feet, but sometimes if you can just, okay, everybody get into a bow stance like I have, okay? T stance, L stance, bow stance, okay? So use your hands, okay? The hands are now like this, like paws, okay? You're gonna roll back and drop down. How? And you can actually, and come up and come back. You're gonna actually use the hands with the feet, okay? So you're like your paws, You're gonna roll back, sit down. Come up, push out. Ready? Again. Roll back, sit down. Come up, lunge forward. Getting better. One more time. Roll back, sit down. Come up, push forward. Okay, let's do the other side. Sit back, sit down, twist step, hold your ball. Step out L, ward off. Okay, now just use our pause. Okay, we'll call it pause. Okay, so you're gonna roll back, sit down, come up, lunge forward. How? Roll back, sit down, come up, lunge forward. Show me again. Roll back, sit down, spiral up and out. One more time. Roll back, sit down, spiral up, lunge forward. Okay, let's look at it again. Roll back, sit down. What happens when you sit down? The left knee gets bent a little bit more. The right or forward foot is only on its heel. It can't be partially forward. It has to be totally back to gather that energy in the back. But if it's only partly back, that means there's still weight on the forward foot. All right, T stand, bow stance. Roll back, sit down. Keep it there, okay? Keep it down. Let's start it again. Roll back, sit down. All right, keep it there. Sit down, sit down, sit down. You should feel a sense of achiness on the left. That weight should be all there. Okay, come back up and out. Other side, twist step, T stance, step out, ward off, back and down, up and out. Roll back, sit down, spiral up and out. One more time. Roll back, sit down, spiral up and out. Sit back, sit down, spiral up and out. Okay, good. Actually, I see progress, okay? So don't push it. Everything that we're doing is not a hand motion, but it's dictated by how we can move that energy. And I was also trying to say that if you have good Tai Chi posture, you should never have to worry about the shoulder. All you need to remember is that just check your spine if it's going too forward or too lopsided. But if you are disciplined and you say, this is my shoulder stance and my relaxation stance, then once we start to move, this has nothing to do with your stance, shoulder. But in Tai Chi, the thinking is entirely different. It's saying the body is a unit, it moves together. But when I see how you display it, it's easier for me to then say, hey, but what about this, or what about your foot? But think about it as a unit, okay? So that might help you. Everybody has to use their hips and waists a lot more, okay? But that's our journey. That's the stuff that's gonna help us by learning Tai Chi, okay? So in cloud hands, it's unlike the movements that we normally do in Tai Chi because cloud hands is a sideways movement. So initially, we are together and we're gonna lift one foot up to make it weightless. And we're gonna lead with the toe to come down and come down slowly, arch and heel. And the other foot takes its turn as if we're playing keys on our piano, okay? So at no time while we're in motion should there be two weighted feet. because this would be called disharmony or discord, okay, like a piano boom down like this, but we're going to take one at a time. It's a sideways motion, and we're leading with the toe. In other words, the toe starts the movement, okay? The toe starts the movement. The heel cannot lead the movement. Just as simple as that, okay? So that's the bottom portion of our body. The hips and waists also drive our movements, because clouds are not just squares that we just use our sideways motion, but we have corners, we have turns. So the hips and waists have to turn with our body, but actually the hips and waists have a bigger role in that they direct our movements, especially for clouds. So in other words, what I mean by that is that if my hips and waists are turning, my upper body will turn with it, okay? My upper body will turn with it. If my hips and waists are still, and I only use my upper, which are my extremities of my hands, that's not Tai Chi. There again, we're not working as a unit, okay? So we're gonna figure out a way to work as a unit to make floating clouds. So mind sets it, this hips and waists drive it, and what we do on the bottom will match the top, okay? So essentially, whatever we do here, we're going to be doing on the top. The tricky part is, what do the hands do? So here are two images that you can use while you're doing cloud hands. One is that they're like egg beaters, in that an egg beater turns, but both at a same rate, but in a different direction. And they're simultaneous. One doesn't just turn and the other one turns, but they turn together. So they're like beating eggs, okay? Another way of looking at it, which is Ken's favorite, is that he likes to give you an image where you're reading the top line of the newspaper, turning the page, and then yet reading the other top, and turning the page and reading. And even when I'm standing here reading my newspaper, it's a natural flow where my hips and waists are helping me. So we can just stand there. Doesn't matter what side of the cloud you're on, and you can just do it with me. So you can understand a little bit more what I mean. So the hips and waists are directing the movements. Your hands have no business moving unless the hips and waists are driving the movement. Okay? So you see that at 12 o'clock, something happens, and the extremities of 9 and 3, something happens. Okay, now we can do it all together. Okay, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Okay, what happens? At 12 o'clock, the left hand has a stem that's facing down in the direction of 12, and the bottom hand, which happens to be our right hand, is in our dantian, navel area. Just kind of, I want to use the word dragging, but just floating. Okay, when I say just floating, it's like this, just floating. But as it goes to the extreme, so can we get down to 9? This is our stem, this is our floating hand, okay? Can you do that? Yep. Drop this one a little bit more, yep, good. So it's right in this navel area. Drop a little bit more, yep, okay. All right. To get out to the 9, turn the hips and waists. You're at 9. Two things happen. Flip the top hand so you no longer see the palm. Drop it down while the bottom hand takes its place. You didn't have to turn the wrist of that hand. 12 o'clock, do you have a stem and a cup? A stem and a floating. At 3 o'clock, two things happen. Flip the hand, change the place. Use the hips and waists to get out to 12. Dangle and a stem. Turn the hips and waists, change the places. Turn the hips and waists, 12. Continue to turn the hips and waists. Two things happen. Flip. Turn to get to 12. Turn to get to 9. Two things happen. Flip. Turn. Flip. Turn. Flip. Every time we do this rotation, you should feel grounded. You should feel your shoulders dropped. And you should also feel that the only way we're doing floating clouds is that the hips and waists are swiveling. They're rotating on your axle, making you use your core, making you aware that the hips and waists are dictating your movements. The spine is keeping you erect. It's giving you a sense of relaxation because we're repeating our movements and our shoulders are nice and loose and relaxed and not tight. The energy can flow freely through your joints and through your whole system. So as I'm talking and as we do this, we're noticing that our hips and waists are getting loose and getting more relaxed to the point where we feel we need to do something with our feet. Our feet are just there holding us, but our feet can enhance the movement. So this is how it can be enhanced without too much talking. You're going to follow, okay? Use your hips and waists. One more and then we're going the other way. Use your hips and waists all the time. Okay, we're going to stop and only do one thing and do it the other way. Changing our hand position, moving into the 12. But at the 3 o'clock, we're going to do two things. Flip the hands, close the feet. Using your hips and waists, open, close. Use your hips and waists. So what I want you to do is realize that once your hands are set, the only time they really move is at the 3 o'clock, like now, and at the 9 o'clock. Because once they're set up, the hips and waists move your motion. Is that true? Can you test that out? Hips and waists, move my motion, leave my hands there. Now move my hands. Hips and waists move me out to 9. Move me to 12. Move me to 3. Only move the hips and waists, going the other way. Close. Moves hips and waists. Reverse the hands. Two things happen at 9. Stem and cup at 12. Move the hips and waists. 3. Two things happen. Stem cup 12. Two things happen. Flip and close. Two things happen. 3. Flip me, close. Other way. So in order for us to keep our Tai Chi posture, which is ongoing, the hands that are floating cannot be too far out, but they shouldn't be close to your body. Other way. Okay, so they're like a natural distance away from your body. When you look at the clouds and your vision is always only on the top hand tips of the finger. Tips of the finger is where your vision is. However, other way now, okay? You look out into infinity. You don't study and only focus short at the tips of your top hand. So the glance is only on the top. You never look at the bottom to see whether it's floating. Okay, other way. Okay, so I think now we're kind of not really getting dizzy, but we've had enough, right? But all I'm asking is that, well, asking a lot, but covering the real essential principles of Tai Chi in that no matter where our upper body is, it's being directed by our hips and waists. So if we set our hands up like this and we change places at certain parts, it's only moving. It's not moving because I'm moving my hand. It is here and there because I'm moving my hips and waists. So to make that a little clearer, if my hands were like this and I wanted to move my hands, this is how I would do it, right? It's a hand motion, which is a no-no. But if we say, my hips and waists will get me there, all I did was leave my hands where they are. And they are moving, not because I'm moving and directing them, but the hips and waists are joined to my body, and the faster I go, the faster my hands will move. Same way in this thing. So although you know that you have to do certain things at the extremities and the center of the clock, everything's being dictated because your mind is saying, hips and waists, take me to those floating clouds or make me that way, okay? So in essence, we're all, when we start something new, we want to get to the best precise motion or detail. But in Tai Chi, to get that way is a journey, it's long, it's enjoyable, but we have to then say, how are we getting there? That's the most important thing. We're getting there because something in our core, something in our mind is helping us to move. Okay, so think about that one and then apply it to all your motions. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of fast forward this and say, yes, we know how to work on clouds. We know the essence of it. I'm gonna teach you something new, very kind of difficult, but I think that you'll catch on, okay? So we're taking cloud hands out of the 10 form, but now we're gonna put it back into the form. And this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna start from the beginning of the 10 form and see how, where and when cloud hands come in, and at the same time reviewing some of our movements, okay? So this is Yang 10 form, good Tai Chi posture, dropping the shoulders, tucking the butt, hollowing the chest, chin slightly down, not parallel to the ground, vision out into infinity, tongue on our palate, good thoughts, and of course our suspended head, okay? Commencing form. You're at 50-50. Shift weight to the right, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 open, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Hands rotate to the middle. Take a deep breath in as you elevate both hands as if you're drawing up water. At shoulder level, we're going to reverse the process. Drop the shoulders, flex the knees, push down. Leave the left hand in the middle as the right hand rises up. Open the palms to the ceiling as you glance. Bring it to the head and ear area. Turn the head and neck. Meet the hands in the middle. Push forward, pull back as if to repulse the monkey. Leave the right hand in the center. Left hand rises up higher as you glance at it. Open the palms. Bring it to the ear. Turn the head and neck. Meet the hands in the center. Push forward, pull back. We're going to brush our knee. T-stance. Set it up correctly. Right hand higher. Left hand to your armpits or shoulder, okay? T-stance, we're going to multitask. Let's warm it up. The top hand comes to the ear. How? Top hand comes to the ear. Bring it back out. Two things happen. The left hand comes down as the top hand comes to the ear. Two things happen. Here, go. Ear down. Again, ear down. Three things happen. We're going to step out with our left heel as we turn our hips and waist. Ear down, heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Left hand higher, right hand to your shoulder. T-stance. Three things happen. Ear and hand and down and heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. This is a drill because we didn't warm it up. Twist step. Right hand higher, left hand to the shoulder, T-stance. Three things happen. Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Left hand higher, T-stance. Right hand to the shoulder, glancing at the left or higher hand. Three things happen. Ear, hand comes down, heel comes out. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Right hand higher, left hand to the shoulder, T-stance. Three things happen. Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Left hand higher, T-stance. Right hand to your shoulder. All together. Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, twist step, hold your ball. Okay, that one we're gonna have to remember, I'll have to remember to warm up, but so far so good. Let's go back now. We're doing, we left off on brush knee, and we're gonna go back into the 10 form. After brushing our knee, we're gonna hold our ball, okay? I'm gonna start you here, hold your ball. We're gonna part the wild horse's mane, and after that, we're getting into cloud hands. T-stance, step out on an L, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, hold your ball on a T-stance. Step out on an L, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Here begins cloud hands. Listen and do. Flip the forward hand so you no longer see the palm. Join it by the back hand where you can see your palm. They're staggered, right? You're in a bow stance. You're gonna sit back and sit down. You're gonna pivot, and you're at 12 o'clock. Is that right? Stem and a dangle, stem and a floating hand. How do we get out to 9? Listen carefully and do it. Put the weight on the right so that the left heel can pivot out. You got to 9. Two things happen. What? Flip the hands, close the feet. We'll come back to it and review. 12 o'clock. Use the hips and waist to get to 3. Two things happen. Flip the hands, open the feet. 12 o'clock, stem and a dangle. 9 o'clock, only one thing happens. Flip the hands. 12 o'clock is a stem and a dangle. 3 o'clock, two things happen. Flip the hands, close the feet. Dangle. 9 o'clock, two things happen. Flip the hands, open the feet. But at 3 o'clock, we can only flip the hands. But at 12 o'clock, it's setting us up for a what? A golden cockerel. Down, other side, another golden cockerel. Down, we're going to gather the energy, and we're going to kick out with our right. Follow the kick with our eyes, follow with our right hand, down, left hand on the outside, left foot coming up, kick out, left, holding our ball. This time we're going to the right first. We're going to ward off. Step out, bottom hand advances to forearm, turn the hips and waist, reposition your hands, grasp the bird's tail, pull down your opponent, turn back, turn forward, contact, push the energy through, separate the energy and roll back and sit down, spiral up and lunge forward. Other side, sit back, sit down, twist step, hold your ball, and ward off. Step out on an L, bottom hand advances to forearm, turn the hips and waist, grasp the bird's tail, turn again, contact, push from the middle, separate, roll back, sit down, spiral up and out, apparently close. Sit back, sit down, twist in, twist out, pivot in, embrace the tiger with the right hand inside the cross. Move that energy over, rotate on your wrists so that your palms are now facing you. Bring the tiger slightly closer to you at your chest. Push them out. Palms are down. Drop your shoulders, flex your knees. Let gravity take you back home as you wrap around, up on the toe, off the ground, toe down, heel down. Okay, so when we part the wild horse's mane, one side, second side, we're now ready for cloud hands. We flip the forward hand and we join it. I'll let you do it, but not now. Okay, let's just watch first. So I'm in a bow stance. I'm ready for cloud hands. I want to get out. I'm at 3 o'clock and I want to get out to 12 and then 9. That's kind of tricky. But if you understand, then you will use your body and it'll get you there. Bow stance. The next thing after a bow stance is a sit back, sit down. Twist step takes me to 12. I have a stem on the top, a floating on the bottom. I want to get out to 9. How do I get there? I don't use my hands to reach out to 9 o'clock. I use my left heel and pivot. There's 9 o'clock. But two things happen. I flip the hands, join the feet. Okay? Now let's try it, okay? So we said cloud hand starts when we're done parting of the wild horse's mane. So the last parting of the horse's mane, right foot is insubstantial, right hand is on the bottom. Weighted down. We can't stand this way, we have to weight down. Step out on an L, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Flip the forward hand so you no longer see the palm. Join it with the back hand where you can see the palm. And the hands are staggered. They should not be at the same extent. We're in a bow stance, so the back foot should be on a slant, a little bit slanted on the back. And then the foot should be a little, not this way, further out, yeah? Because you're on a bow stance, okay? We're setting it up correctly. What do we do after we do a bow stance? We sit back and we sit down. Don't worry about your hands. You set it up already. Sit back, sit down. Twist with the insubstantial and turn the hips and waist, and you have 12 o'clock, right? Do you all have 12? We want to get out to 9. Use the heel of our left and pivot out there. There's 9. 2 things happen. Flip the hands, close the feet. 3 o'clock, 2 things happen. Flip the hands, open the feet. Use your hips and waist to get to the extremity. But 9 o'clock, we only want to flip the hands. Move to the 12, turn the hips and waist to 3. 2 things happen. Flip the hands, close the feet. Flip the hands, open the feet. But we have to leave cloud hands now, so we only flip the hands. But at 12 o'clock, we turn ourselves into our golden cockerel. Push down, pull up, 12 o'clock. The other side, push down, pull up. Down, and then we gather energy. Part the wild horse's mane. Step out on an L, turn the hips and waist, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. We're in a bow stance. Cloud hands. Flip the forward hand, join it with the back hand. We're in a bow stance. The premise says, the pattern says, from a bow stance, we get into a sit down and sit back. Sit back, sit down. Twist, step in. 12 o'clock, stem and cup. To get to the 9 o'clock, we put our left heel on a pivot to 9. 2 things happen. Flip the hands, close the feet. Move the hips and waist to 12 and then to 3. 2 things happen. Flip and open. Move to the 9, but only 1 thing happens. Going out to the 3, 2 things happen. Out to the 9, 2 things happen. But at 3 o'clock, only flip and shift the weight to the left and come up as a golden cockerel.